Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for July 4th. July 4th is the 185th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 186th in leap years, with 180 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is euphoria. Euphoria is a noun that means a feeling of elation or well-being. The roots from which this word is constructed are, of course, the beginning eu, which means good, or in this case, well, and the second part, which evolved from pherien, P-E-H-E-R-I-E-N, which meant or means to bear. One might say that euphoria means bearing happiness. Earliest documented use of the word euphoria is 1684, euphoria. And remember, if you have a word you'd like me to explore in the Word of the Day section, pop it in the comments. We'll talk about it. And with that, we're going to start on July 4th in the year 1054 with a supernova that was observed and noted by several observers and civilizations. It was bright enough to be seen during the day and was evident for several months. The supernova is called SN 1054 and is now part of the Crab Nebula. The United States Military Academy opened at West Point, New York on July 4, 1802. The Louisiana Purchase was announced to the U.S. public on July 4, 1803. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, respectively, the second and third presidents of the United States, died on the same day, July 4, 1826, on the 50th anniversary of the adoption of the United States Declaration of Independence. Unaware that Jefferson had passed earlier in the day, Adams' last words were, "Thomas Jefferson survives." I guess he found out when he got to the other side. Slavery was abolished in the state of New York on July 4, 1827. The Iowa Territory was organized on July 4, 1838. This is the birthday of American lawyer and politician and 30th President of the United States, Calvin Coolidge, born July 4, 1872. He was a man of few words and a dry sense of humor, and this earned him the nickname of Silent Cal. He'd been elected vice president to Warren G. Harding in 1921 and became president upon the death of President Harding and was then later elected to a full term in 1924. And while he certainly could have run again in 1928, he chose not to. Calvin Coolidge lived to the age of 60. Now, remember the other day when we mentioned the first transcontinental train trip across Canada when it departed from Montreal, Quebec on June 30th, 1886? That train did indeed arrive in Port Moody on the Pacific coast on July 4th, 1886. And before we get on with the song of the day, let me say that I will include a link to a previous episode for July 4th, just in case you'd like to see what other things I might have mentioned in a previous episode for this date. Today's song is I Get Around by the Beach Boys, number 1 on July 4th, 1964. The Beach Boys were an American rock band that consisted of 3 brothers and a couple of their friends. The Beach Boys are well known for their amazing harmonies, teenage summer themes, and musical ingenuity. They were definitely innovative and one of the most influential acts of the rock era. I Get Around was written by Brian Wilson and Mike Love, and it was recorded in a couple of sessions in April of 1964, released as a single in the U.S. in May of 1964, and hit that number 1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart on July 4th, 1964, where it held a number 1 position for 2 weeks. Amazing harmonies, those Beach Boys. I Get Around, number 1, July 4th, 1964. Great song. Link in the description. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.